Despacito, quiero respirar tu cuello despacito. Deja que te diga cosas al oído para que te acuerdes si no estás conmigo. Despacito.
I'm extremely excited to be here in Paris. It's very exciting to get to know a new audience. You know, from my point of view, to kind of start all over. And yeah, we're releasing a greatest hits album here in France, just exclusively for France. It's gonna include Despacito, and it's gonna include songs that have been really important for me in the last 20 years. So I think that's like a good way to say, hey, this is me. Hello, I'm here. You know, I'm definitely very proud to be Latino. I'm very proud to be from Puerto Rico. You know, it's who I am. It's what I have in my blood. It's where my music comes from. So yeah. I mean, I think it's great that European countries and even Asian countries are welcoming Spanish music, Latin music, with their arms wide open. So Despacito means slowly, you know, little by little. And it's just a fun song. It's not really a lyric that is meant to be overanalyzed. It's one of those fun, sensual lyrics, but very respectful. Say, hey, let's just take it little by little, whether it's when we're making love, or whether when we're just getting to know each other, or whether it's whatever we're dancing. So that's what Despacito is all about. You know, it's a collaboration with an amazing artist, Daddy Yankee, who's just a talented, energetic, super powerful urban superstar from Puerto Rico as well. You know, I think the song has two languages, in the sense that it has the obvious language, which is in Spanish, and it's the lyric part, but the other side is it's the music that has its own language, and the rhythm has its own language. And this is something fairly new to me, because I've always done more romantic and more pop music, and this is a more rhythmic driven song. I personally, me, Fonsi, I always start with music, or sometimes it's the music and one word or one phrase. Despacito started with Despacito, Despacito. That's how it started. You know, the Despacito was always there, but that sort of, and I play it with my guitar just like this. I mean, listen, that's what life is all about, right? If you take love away from me, and if you take the beauty of a woman away from me as a songwriter, I don't know what I would write about. It is the main ingredient in every song I write. You know, love, and the good things about love, the tough things that we all go through in love, what it makes us feel, how it makes us dance, how it makes us completely fly, you know, how it makes us fight as human beings. You know, so that's always, I always say that's the nucleus of it all. To me, Despacito is the new sound of Latin pop, where it kind of grabs a little bit of that urban flair, but it has that melodic pop thing on top. And I never think 5 steps ahead. I just think 1 step ahead. I'm like, you know, let's just make the best song possible, and let's hope people are going to connect to it. You know, that 10-year-old boy is still inside me. You know what I mean? I'm just a little older now. But that same thrive, that same energy, that same hunger, that same positive attitude, it's still here. You know, I just listened to music that was on the radio, you know, back then. When I was 10, I moved from Puerto Rico to Orlando, Florida. So it was a transitional period in my life, which was a little tough. It was probably the toughest of my, you know, of my younger years, I guess, because, you know, I had to learn a new language. I had to kind of leave it all behind in Puerto Rico, all my family. Just that positive energy and that I have inside me is from my parents. You know, my dad and my mom. You know, they're wonderful people. They're very different in many ways, and they're very alike in others. You know, my mom is kind of like, when you think of a sweet mom, you know, charming, you know, just always caring, you know, she's always there to kind of say the right words at the right time. That's my mom. And then my dad's the tough, work hard, you know, do whatever it's needed to do to support us, you know, take chances, never afraid of starting over, you know, of moving on. That's my dad, kind of just always looking forward and never looking back. I just started singing when I was very young, and I wasn't afraid to do it, and I was the kid that would get up in the table in the middle of a party and just sing. And oh, back then it was menudo. Do they know menudo here in France? In the late 70s, early 80s, they started a boy band way before, you know, New Kids on the Block and Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and way before that. There was a Puerto Rican boy band called Menudo, and I'd be like, man, I want to do that. You know what I mean? It's like, girls are fainting all over the place. I want to be on stage singing. I could do it, you know? It's like, if they can do it, why can't I do it? Coro de Niños de San Juan is a choir. It means San Juan Boys Choir. But it's a choir, but it's like a music academy. So it was very tough because I was very young. I was about 6 years old, 7 years old. I would go to my normal school, and after my school, my mom would take me across town, drive about an hour to Old San Juan, and I would be there for about 3 hours, learning, obviously, you know, choir and singing with a choir, but also learning music theory, ear training, music history, flute, guitar. You know, I think that equation changes from person to person, but I mean, I think you have to be born with two things. You got to be born with a talent, and you got to be born with a passion. It's got to be sort of the right combination of a lot of factors. You know, you obviously have to have the talent, you have to have the passion, you have to have the work ethic, and I think you always have to have a little luck. When I was in high school, I used to sing in a group, in an a cappella group, and that was beautiful times. You know, I was very young. I was like 14. I had my 3 best friends singing with me, and we would sing everywhere, and I really started getting a taste of, and for people to be like, hey, there's Fonsi, the guy who sings, you know, I'll say, hey, what's up, that's me, you know. And I was very shy in school. I was a Spanish guy, you know, I had a little bit of an accent, so I started playing that role for serious, you know, I was like, I could be this guy, Fonsi, the guy who sings, you know, I could really work at it to make it a serious thing, not just a school thing. So when I got out of school, I told my parents, I said, I want to go to college, I want to go to university, and I want to study music. Oh, you know, just, it's like a little bit of everything, you know, like anybody from like Stevie Wonder to Michael Jackson to Juan Luis Guerra to Franco De Vita to, you know, just, I listen to rock, you know, like Steve Perry, Journey was the coolest voice in the world, Brian McKnight, R&B music. My playlists were always really weird. They were, you know, be like hard rock, then hip hop, then salsa, then yeah, I would be the worst DJ in the world. You know, I recorded my first album in 1998. I was still in school, and I said, hey, it's happening, you know, my dream is happening. And you know, it all came muy despacito. You know what I mean? My first album didn't turn me into an overnight star. It worked. The first song got airplay. People started recognizing me. But my first album was only released in Puerto Rico and then in Venezuela. I felt the difference. That's when, like, you know, we kicked it into gear, because that was an international release. It was, you know, I felt the complete difference in, like, it was a big budget video. You know, like I got to travel to Mexico, to Argentina, to Spain. It was my first #1 hit on Billboard. It got nominated for Billboard Awards, Grammys. You know, it's like all of a sudden, you know, at a young age, I was like about 19 years old for my second album. That's when I was like, whoa, you know, this could actually be a real career. The key ingredient, and nobody ever talks about it, but it's not just having a huge hit or, you know, or selling out the best tour. I think it's consistency. To me, that word is so important. You know what I mean? I'd rather be that player that you could always count on at a game, better than that player that every 15 games he scores 4 goals. You know what I mean? Like, to my audience, I want to be that guy that every time I put an album out or I do a tour, people know what they're going to get. They're going to get a good all-around album, a good all-around tour. As a songwriter, inspiration comes from everything that happens around me. You know, obviously the personal stuff. But you know, I always say that songwriters have to be a little bit like psychologists. You know, they have to just really keep their eyes and ears open for all the things that are going around them. You know, every album reflects the moment that I'm living at that specific point in time, and the moment where music is at that specific point in time. I see it as just different chapters. You know what I mean? It's like, I always say that when I put out a first single for an album, I want people right away to know that it's a new album. I don't want people to say, is that in the new album or is that the third single of the last album? Like, it needs to be a new beginning. You know what I mean? Image-wise, energy-wise, and obviously sound-wise. It's probably the most energetic album I've done. It's more up-tempo, it's more feel-good. It does have ballads, it does have that romantic side, but I just needed movement. The Voice is an incredible franchise. It's an incredible format of reality talent show. I think it's, you know, I've been able to do it in different countries, you know, Chile, Spain, Colombia, US. I did Voice Kids in US, and it's so great to see people who just, I always say, everybody deserves a chance. You know what I mean? Like, it's not fair to not been given at least one chance to just go out there and be heard. You know, it's my playground, you know, it's my happy place. Music is my comfort zone. You know what I mean? It's like, for example, I love acting. I've done TV before, and I've done theater before. I've even done Broadway before. When I do acting on a serious level and there's no music, I am freaked out. You know what I mean? Like, I think people could even see it in my face. I'm not comfortable. But when I do musicals, I'm just, you know, it's my comfort zone. Oh, I mean, social media has completely changed the game, and it has changed the way to communicate with our audience, to communicate with the media. I'm like the most normal dude in the world. There's also something that just has to be very raw and very honest and very normal, and that's cool too. And I think what makes it special is just the music and just making good music, and that's what people, I think, are going to gravitate to at the end of the day.